we do have our first round of midterm polling that has been published since that SCOTUS opinion leaked. And this was done by SSRS, paid for by CNN. And the big number that stands out, the main number, is that Democrats still, this was taken over the course of May 3rd, May 4th, and May 5th. So this was taken entirely post-SCOTUS leak. Democrats 42 on the generic ballot, Republicans 49. So that is a 7-point margin there for the Republicans. As you can see right here, May 3rd to 5th, 2022. This and then it also gives all of these numbers for past midterm cycles as well. So as a point of comparison, you can look back. Okay, May 3rd to May 5th, 2022. Here's the findings: 42 for the Democrats, 49 for the GOP. If you wanted to weigh that against 2010, when the Democrats got their clocks cleaned, the week before Election Day there, it was Democrats 43, Republicans 49. So the Democrats look like they're about on track for a repeat if those numbers, hold, and if those numbers sort of act the way they acted back then, now, of course, 12 years ago. If we go down the list a little further here, there's some data points that I just do want to go over here just on some issue polls, all right? On the economy, who's favored? Democrats 31, Republicans 46. That's a killer right there. I mean, that's pretty much the whole game right there.
That's it.
On immigration, Democrats 34, Republicans 42. On abortion, Democrats have the edge, 44 to 32. But if you notice here, Democrats have 44% to the Republicans 32% on the issue of the day, which is, of course, reproductive rights. And the really interesting thing about that is later on in the poll, which I'll bring up on the screen in just 1 second, you'll actually see that 66% of all respondents want to see Roe v. Wade in place. 34% don't. And so if you crunch the numbers, what that means is the Republican Party basically have captured almost everyone who wants Roe v. Wade overturned, whereas the Democrats are leaving about 22 points on the table on that issue. And that is a function of the Democrats' gross negligence in not codifying reproductive rights over the past 50 years. Because
it's not just that, Caden. Why would anyone take them seriously? The day after that leak, James Clyburn, scum of the earth that he is, but he's certainly not alone, he went and campaigned for Henry Cuellar, the anti-abortion Democrat. Pelosi
who's being challenged by Jessica Cisneros, obviously a pro-choice.
Why would you even take the Democrats seriously on this? They've been playing games for decades, and now the game is up, and now they're still playing games. Well, how do you go and campaign for an anti-abortion Democrat the day after that dropped? That's how few fucks they have to give for their voters.
The other thing that's worth mentioning here is that you have voting rights, another issue where you would think, obviously, the Democrats would have an edge. They barely have an edge. Democratic Party 41, Republican Party 38. So if you have just a general lack of confidence in the Republican Party on both of these issues, yet the Democrats not able to capitalize on that at all. And that speaks to the kind of enthusiasm gap that comes from them playing the kinds of games that, Russell, you just talked about on this issue. But obviously, if you look at the voting rights issue, same thing. Oh, Manchin's in the way. We can't suspend the filibuster to pass voting rights, right? I mean, this is just a party that does not deliver anywhere. And so even on the issues where Republicans are very, very vulnerable, such as abortion and voting rights, the Democrats are just in no place to capitalize, even if you broaden it out and just actually say the phrase women's rights. Women's rights, which I would consider abortion part of. But even if you just make it a blanket term like that, women's rights, Democrats still under 50 on women's rights. Republicans are in the toilet. They're way down here at 29. but the Democrats are still under 50. And you have, look, in all of these cases, a quarter of the people who answered the poll said neither party. That's what I would answer if I were asked just about any of these things. Here's some more data on this. If Roe v. Wade were overturned, each state could set its own laws on abortion to be as restrictive or as permissive as they wanted. If this happens, would you prefer that your state set laws which are more restrictive or more permissive? And so 58 say more permissive. That is consistent, with what we know generally about how these opinions break down on this issue. Only 42% more restrictive. Now, of the respondents who wanted, this is a really interesting point in the poll here, of the respondents who would prefer their state set laws that are more restrictive, so even amongst the anti-choice portion of this survey, would you want your state to ban abortions completely or not? Only 48% of those who already are in this more restrictive camp would say ban abortions, which if you crunch the numbers, that's about 20%. So only 20% of respondents in this survey favor an across-the-board abortion ban, which is why I said, Russell, while you were restarting your computer in hopes that your webcam would work, I don't think they're going to be able to get the votes together to pass a federal abortion ban. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. If they now the one caveat to that is that, by the time they win the White House again, you're not going to have as many of these like John McCain, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flake type, because they're going to replace all those guys with the J.D. Vances and the Dr. Oz's, right? I mean, you're going to have an influx of ideological whack jobs flooding the Senate. And so that's the one caveat to that. But even so, I don't think with 20% support, you're getting the votes together to pass that bill.
You never know. I mean, they got Roe struck down, and that wasn't popular.
Yeah, but that, like I said, that wasn't quite up to them. Like, these senators did not have to vote on striking Roe down. Like, if Roe were federal law, they wouldn't be able to muster the votes in the current Senate to strike that down. Even if it were 50-50 with a Republican president. Like, even if Mike Pence were the tiebreaker, they wouldn't be able to do that because Susan Collins would certainly vote no, and Lisa Murkowski would certainly vote no. I mean, they're putting on this whole show now that they're shocked. They're shocked that Amy Coney Barrett voted to strike down Roe v. Wade. They're shocked that Brett Kavanaugh voted to strike down Roe v. Wade. I mean, it's ridiculous, but they at least have that plausible deniability when they put it in the hands of a Supreme Court justice. They would not have that on a straight Senate floor vote. Do we ban abortion altogether nationwide? And so they wouldn't have the votes as of now. That's not to say in a few years they wouldn't. And if they did have the votes, here's what I think you are right about, Russell. If they did have those votes, if they had 51 or 52 or 53 votes, then Mitch McConnell would absolutely abolish that fucking filibuster. Get it out of the way. They wouldn't pull this Democrat. Well, we can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, no, if they had 50 and a GOP White House, right? I mean, they would get rid of that in 2 seconds.
I'm going to give you a prediction right now. If, as seems extremely likely, in 2025, Republicans are holding all three branches of government, Mitch McConnell is going to suspend the filibuster.
Yes, right. Well, no, but hold on. What I'm saying is that he won't. I
don't mean for this. He might just get rid of it.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah. Right. No, I'm not saying they wouldn't do that. I'm just saying I don't think they'll get to 50 votes in the Senate.
By that time, they might.
I kind of am thinking about what's our best hope, and our best hope is that it feels like that the GOP wants to keep sheepdogging their voters, because I've thought that that's been the case for a number of years as well.
Yeah,
so
but the only problem,
have their own incentive not to deliver. But it may not be enough.
I mean, look, interracial marriage could be their next North Star, right? That could be the next thing. Yeah, 50 miles off in the distance, right?
But McConnell's in an interracial marriage.
Yeah, well, what do they say? Do as I say, not as I do.
Please clap.